Are you like a sober guy? You do that whole deal? Or?
I don't do the 12-step program.
Cool.
Gave me sobriety.
Sure.
Was my experience.
Cool.
Which is actually, I wanted to ask you about that because I've had another dude named Pat Ridge on the show who he has a couple sober houses here. And I asked him his opinion on sobriety and cannabis and what he thinks about people who get sober through smoking. He was very against it. I'm curious, as someone who is involved in a similar industry and, you do the 12 steps, how do you feel about that?
I'm not against it at all. The
Interesting.
truth of the matter is, and this is my story, and I accept anybody for where they're at and what they think about whatever the topic is.
Yep.
My belief is, how dare I put together a few years in a row of sobriety after 21 years of actively destroying my life in every way possible and think that I have this guide to a perfect life and believe that I know what's best for you in your life.
Yep.
That just doesn't make sense to me. And looking back, I believe we're all entitled to our own process.
Yep.
And the thing with recovery, to me, or harm reduction, or whatever, however we're going to frame this, is there's no margin for error, yet it's impossible to do perfect.
100%.
So, with that being said, I'm a big harm reduction guy because I'm a product of that environment.
Yep.
And it took me a long time to come to the realization that nothing worked for me. Now, I'm a completely abstinent-based gentleman, right? I don't drink, despite any and all adverse consequences. And that's my narrative.
Yep.
But if somebody actively wants to better their life and they believe going to the provides them a life that they want to not only live for, but not fucking blow their brains out over, and wake up and be a part of this thing called society day in and day out, I'll drive you to the fucking clinic. Who am I to say that's not the right way? Because ultimately, God's God and I'm not God. And if I was God, I would fuck that job up. I've seen me do it more times than I care to remember, right? So yeah, if any of us had the answer, we wouldn't be in the predicament that we're in today.
Yep.
So I'm a fan of whatever you believe will provide you a life that you want to be a part of.
Yep.
And if that doesn't play out how you hoped, then at the very least, you can entertain sobriety.
Yep.
How I do it. And if not, that's okay too. I just want to be the guy that is all-inclusive, open-minded, and accepting of everyone for where they're at, because that's where God has intended them to be, straight up. I believe God's will is free will. I don't think, I hear a lot of sober people say, God's will, and the audacity of an alcoholic to think that they understand what God's will is beyond me. And this is just my shit. And I'm going into a field that I have, the opinions they're like assholes. Everyone has one.
Yep.
Right? There's no credit to what I'm talking about. It's just my belief.
They all look a little different.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm totally down with MAT. It's an individualized thing. Right. And I had to go through all of my trial and errors. I did the methadone, I did the Suboxone, I did the implant, the Vivitrol.
Yep.
I had to experience all of them in order to understand why those aren't for me today. Right? That's just the way I'm wired.
Yeah, I mean, it's my view on Suboxone and methadone and stuff like that. I have a ton of friends who are really hard addicts who ended up taking Suboxone. I have one friend who keeps going through the cycle of he'll go to treatment, get out, get on Suboxone, relapse again, go back to treatment. And
that used to be my cycle too for a little while.
I wonder to myself, is Suboxone and methadone really sobriety, or is it just a harm reduction? Is it just a better path?
If you tell me you're sober and you're taking Suboxone, I believe you're fucking sober. Because what I don't like is I own treatment centers.
Yep.
I own sober living houses. I'm as in the mix as one could be. And I'm all inclusive. I will
100%.
not deny anybody. I don't understand the rationale of people that do. And that's okay. You know, it's like I need liars in the world to prove to me why I don't want to be a liar. I need thieves in the world to prove to me why I don't want to be a thief. I need you know, all that, the yin to the yang. What's happiness without sadness?
Yeah.
So all of everyone's approach is just as important as mine or the next person's, and I can't have it without theirs. But I've heard from people that I work with in helping get better that they are turned off from some meetings because they go to these meetings and people will say, "You're not sober, you're on Suboxone." And that fucking infuriates me. And that's my own fight for my own battle.
Yep.
But like, I already have an alcoholic mind that lies to me my own voice, and it makes me believe the unbelievable. And it tells me that I don't need you. I don't want to be a part of your fucking sober world. I don't even like you. You guys don't even like me, right? My addiction, its job is to disconnect and disassociate me from community and solution, right? It wants me isolated. It wants me homicidal. It wants me suicidal. That's what this thing's job is, because I have a disease called alcoholism. So now, if I have a man or a woman who actively is able to not listen to this long enough to maybe go to where I don't want to be, but I have nowhere else to go, and I'm scared, I'm uncomfortable, and then I walk in and you say, "Hey, what brings you here? And are you sober?" And I'm on Suboxone. Well, you're not sober. Fuck. You are. I am right. You guys do fucking suck. You know, like my brain is already looking for a million reasons why this thing isn't going to work or create a gap or a barrier between me and solution. So understanding that, dude, I'm that's not me.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean,
but that doesn't mean that my way is the right way. It's just that's my way.
Whatever works for you is the right way at the end of the day.
Straight up.
There's a million right ways.
Yeah.
You know, you just got to try them all, throw a bunch of darts at the board, and one will probably land.
God willing.
You know?
For the better part of, 19 years, I was a raving maniac, right? I was down to do whatever, with whoever, wherever, for however long it fucking lasted. And throughout my process of sobriety, I've become a really regimented, calculated, well thought out, executed kind of guy, right? Yep. Like there's a method to my approach, and I've completely shifted from this guy who just, is it Tuesday, is it Sunday, is it Friday, to like, there's not enough time in the day, and I have like a million meetings throughout.
You've got your schedule planned from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed, it sounds like.
Yeah, I do. I'm really big with routine.
I mean, hearing this out of you is something that I'd imagine a lot of people watching this at home right now are shocked to hear. People
I'm fucking shocked to say in here.
It's crazy, isn't it?
I'm just grateful to be alive, dude. It's and it all came from having a spiritual experience, right? The definition of a spiritual experience is simply a psychic change.
Okay.
So what that means to me is Brandon Novak today, with 10 years of continuous sobriety, no longer think how I thought when I was like shooting on a daily basis. I act, but more importantly, I react to life differently today.
And you just hit your 10-year in May, yeah?
May 25th.
That's sick,
It was
dude.
the day that my higher power, God, saw fit to remove me from the consistent behavioral pattern that I exhibited that always put me in this position where, in my mind, the only answer was a fucking speedball in my arm.
I mean, it's really fascinating to sit here and talk with you and see your mindset where it is right now, because as someone who has really done their homework on you and watched all your old escapades, both on Jackass, I watched your Dreamville, the 2009 documentary. I watched all that stuff, leading up to this interview, and you're a completely different person.
I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry you had to go down.
I was thoroughly entertained. But
I meet a lot of people in recovery, and they're like, "Yeah, dude, I loved you in Jackass and Viva La Bam," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's why you're fucking in recovery."
Yeah, I mean, you definitely, you were visibly an entirely different person in that era. Like
Yeah.
you were a completely different guy, a completely different mindset, and someone who like I would have never in a million years bet like, oh, this guy's going to open a sober living facility, or this guy's going to run a rehab and be a icon for people that are trying to get sober. That's something that like to get to that point takes an extreme amount of mental fortitude. And I think I gotta give you some credit where it's due.
Thank you, mother.
You've changed in a lot of ways that like, I don't know you personally until right now.
Yeah.
But as a viewer, I see that. So the people who know you personally are probably like, holy fuck.
It's funny, man. During that era when all of that was in its heyday, there was this, and it still might be, I don't really get on the internet much, but there was like a celebrity death pool.
Okay.
And I was ranked up there pretty high as one to hit that mark and die. And the year or two where I was like really high on that list and I didn't die, I would receive tons of hate mail. It's like, you
Really?
motherfucker, you didn't die.
No
you lost
way.
me all this money. Yeah.
How does that feel getting that mail?
Well, dude, I was at that time in my life, any press was good press. And I'm like, fuck it, let's run it. Yeah.
They're saying my name.
Yeah, exactly. And but it extended into like my personal life and my mother, she had bought me a plot. She was expecting, not only waiting, but praying. Literally, she would go to church and pray to God for him to either cure me or kill me. Because like everyone, just the way I lived, that wasn't unrealistic. I remember I had an ex-fiance once. She was the best. She is the best. And she said, I used to love on certain days I'd go buy like 180 milligrams and buy like 3 or 4 bars, drink them, eat the bars, and guaranteed overdose every time, like guaranteed. And then I'd end up in the emergency room and they try to figure out who I am, where I came from. And she's like, we have to get a tattoo on you. And if found, please call. And her phone number. And I was like, fuck yeah. like that's where I was then. Now that's absolutely insane to me. So needless to say, no one saw this outcome, including myself. I have a documentary that's actually in the process as well. And when they were filming this documentary, they had a meeting towards the end of the filming of it before I got sober that I was not privy to. And it consisted of how they were going to end this documentary with my death. And that was, that made sense.